Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents The Corner Bookstore, hosted by Red O'Loughlin. Step into a world where every story inspires. These pages come to life through the voices of authors from around the globe. Written by our global community of TV show hosts and best-selling authors, these works span genres, generations, and geographies, united by the power of storytelling. Discover your next favorite book and meet the minds behind the work. Thursdays, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Howdy, y'all. Red O'Loughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore today on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. When I'm not hosting TV shows, and this is the first of three I'm supposed to do today, the primary focus of my life is research. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem, treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. But the cause is still there and can get worse. That's what I write about. That's what I speak about. Concentrate primarily in the area of longevity, age-related issues. And when I'm not doing that, I just enjoy a wide variety of many other things. So that's enough about me for right now. Let's go ahead and get to our primary guest today, Leigh Jack. Leigh Jack is an author, a mother, a teacher. She finished her first book here very recently. It's a book in a series called Heart Series. Leigh, please join me up here on stage.
Hi, so nice
Howdy.
to be here today.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here today too. So you're a teacher, and then you started becoming an author. Had you been a writer before being an author?
So I think that writing has always been a part of me. It's something that I've always enjoyed. I was a writer as long as I can remember, starting when I was little, just diaries, journals, things like that. And I've always loved creating stories. But writing is something that, life kind of comes in, and it took a back seat for, I would say, a decade or more. And then as my kids started getting a little older, I've got like a passion in me, and I wanted to explore it for myself. So I started writing my first book little by little. I didn't know if it would become anything or if it was just for something that I wanted to do for myself. But once I got around to finishing it, and I got so excited seeing it turn into an actual book, it lit a fire in me. And now I know that writing is something I will never stop doing, and sharing stories with the world in the most fun adventure.
Okay, so your hearts, let's see, Shared Hearts, part of the Heart series that you're going to continue to write, just was published literally a couple weeks ago. Is that right?
So Shared Hearts, well, I actually have 3 books out now. Shared Hearts came out in November, November 2024. That was my first book. And after that came out, it's about May, and her sister is her best friend, Lily. And I felt like Lily needed her own story as well because she was so close to May in the book. So that's where the second part of the Heart series came from, called Chasing Hearts. That came out in April 2025. And then the one that was just published a couple weeks ago is called The Next Chapter. It's a beach read and it's a standalone from the other 2. So there are now 3 books out in a year, which is pretty exciting.
That is pretty impressive. And when I did a Chat GPT check on you to figure out what's going on, and they got it all wrong. What can I say? Anyway, I apologize.
Well, look at that. ChatGPT cannot keep up with me, I guess.
I love it. You're just a wild woman just going too fast down the road. So
that's it. It's still back at book 1, but that's okay.
How old are your kids now?
They are 4 and 7, so still
wow.
young, but a little more independent than being babies.
Yeah, the great ages, those ages. We had 2 kids, 3 grandkids, and our first great grandson is about 1.5 years now. So we've been through that more than a couple times. And
congratulations on that.
I said it earlier backstage, but I'm going to tell the whole world. I think you have a lovely smile.
Thank you. That is very nice of you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so you wrote the book. How long did it take you to edit it?
So editing, I have found out, is, I would say, my second least favorite part of writing now that I've kind of gone through the whole process, because editing is something that I could spend honestly forever doing. Writing, I kind of know when my story is wrapping up. I kind of feel like the characters, are telling me that their story is over. It's time to move on. But editing, I realized that I could second guess myself for so long. So that is always the longest, and I think also the hardest part of writing a book. And I always edit the book myself. I would say anywhere between 5 to 7 times. My friends always joke too, because they're always like, "Aren't you done your book?" And I'm like, "No, I'm still editing." And then they ask me a month later, I'm like, "Still editing." So I always try and go through about 5 to 7 times myself first. And then that's when I have others get involved. And that, I didn't realize how beneficial it was to actually have editors help you out, because I could read through the story a million times and I think I found every mistake, and I really think that my grammar is on point, and then they will point out things to me that, I guess because it's my story, I've just read over and haven't realized were incorrect. Wrong use of tense, wrong names sometimes in there. Sometimes it's, it'll be the morning, and then in the next sentence, it's the evening. So those little things, it is so beneficial to have other people step in and point them out for me and help me out. But I realize that it really takes a village, writing and creating a book. So editing is definitely the longest part, but it's, I think, also one of the most important parts.
It's interesting. Before COVID, I would have a party at my house, social, and I'd have 10, 12 sets of eyes that would come in. I'd give random chapters, a clipboard, a red pen, and we'd have a half hour or so socializing, and then people would just find a quiet spot for an hour and a half. And I just say, I write technically. And so I said, if there's something there that you don't understand or it looks weird, just circle the whole paragraph, and I'll rewrite it, because I want people who are not in the technical end of things to be able to benefit from it. I also use Chat GPT, but you have to have the prompt really specific, because the first time I did it, I took a chapter, it's about 20 pages. I put it in there, says, please edit for me. I got 2 paragraphs back out of 20 pages. Edit to chat is not the same thing as edit to humans. And so I started asking Chat GPT, tell me how I have to do this in order for AI to give me what I want. And so I had a small little paragraph that came out, and that worked fine. But then when I get done, I say, proofread for 7th grade level. And that to me is a far better one after everything else is done than I have it. Now I have the final version pretty close, but it's still on the sterile side a little bit. And I'll run it back through a spell checker or two, Grammarly. And I also use the Microsoft Word Readback. Have you used that?
No, I haven't. Does that read it to you?
Yeah, it does. It's on the same the same line that you do spell check in Word. It's about 2 or 3 tabs over, and it says Readback. And so you just position the cursor where you want it at. You click Readback, and you sit back and watch the yellow brick road as the thing goes across and reads it to you. So now you're hearing, not just reading at the same time, and you can always hit pause when something doesn't make sense or doesn't sound right, because our brains have already pre-programmed to what we thought we wrote, and it picks up that same vibe, but it doesn't read exactly. So that readback function I find to be pretty good.
That's interesting. I will have to try that because I started recording myself reading it, and I would send my recordings a chapter at a time to my sister, and then she would listen to it. But it would be nice to have something else read it, because I noticed that when I'm reading it over, I'm reading my same mistakes as correct because I'm the one that wrote it and I know where it's going. So I will check that out for my next book. Thank you.
Well, see, I was worth the cost of admission today.
There you go. You taught me something. I love it.
Okay, so you have your book. It's edited. Tell me about your covers.
Okay, so the covers have also been a learning process, and covers are something that I do completely on my own. So the first couple of covers, I started experimenting with Canva, and I never really used it that much before. But my husband, he is an art teacher, so he has been very helpful in like the graphic design side of things, in helping me to figure things out, little by little, learning together. So the cover for Shared Hearts is pink, and I knew I wanted it to be pink with the heart sunglasses because that's like very me, my vibes. That book, since it was my first one, I wanted to make it something that just represented me. It was created with Canva, and things were tweaked until it looked just how I wanted it. And then Chasing Hearts, I did the same type of theme because they do go together. It's another favorite color of mine. But the next chapter, my third book, that is, I think, the most exciting cover for me, because I told my husband what I wanted, and I wanted something a little more technical for this one since it was my third book. And he actually hand painted a beach scene for me that was right like the pictures that I was sending him of like inspo pics. And he surprised me with it when I woke up one morning, and when I saw it, I knew that it was perfect. It was just how I wanted the cover to be. So from there, we scanned it into the computer and we put it on Canva, and that is how the cover came to be. So it's a lot of teamwork for that as well.
I also publish books for people. That's one of the other things I do. And I get clients periodically. They know what they want, like your beach scene. Well, I had one of 1850s West Texas, and they wanted certain things. So I went on and I actually created 5 AI book covers. And they're very simple because you just tell them what you want and it creates it. So in other words, it takes text to picture. And so I sent 5 of these things to my client, and I said, which ones do you like? And let's just say it was A and B for. And so then I took the A and B and I sent that to Fiverr.com to a designer, and I said, okay, here's the back cover page. Here's the number of pages for the spine, but the front cover needs some tweaking because he wants this and this and this, and that's something I don't do. But when 90% of it's there, and all you have to do is add a fence or lengthen this or change the color of that, it makes it very simple. Because when he finally had, he was super happy with what he had, and so it's just one of those things to think about. It's out there. It's a tool, just like spell check, and all we have to do is just use it.
I did not know.
Yeah. Well,
yes, I did not know that could happen. It could even make book covers. It's amazing what AI can do. I haven't really explored it for the writing world, but as a teacher, it is like my best friend, because if you have a student who's not that excited about reading, but they love I don't know, pandas, and you use it to make it on the third grade level, a story about pandas with questions. It's just amazing how much time it saves me and what it can produce for each student to get them excited. So that has been what I've used it for the most. I will have to check it out more though, now that I realize it can do even more.
Yeah, like I said, there's some AI and it's free, and you just give a text and it gives you a picture, and then you can tweak it and tweak it, and okay, fine. That's then you put it into Canva or whatever you want to do, and you end up with your final product. So there are a lot of options there, and I find that I do use it sometimes because I want to know 20 reasons why how this cause of Alzheimer's can do this or whatever it may happen to be. And so it'll do some digging for me. Okay, now I have information. Oh, okay, I hadn't thought about it. Well, maybe uric acid. So now I go into Google and I'll start doing some research based on what Chat GPT gave me, and then I take that information and I formulate whatever I want to put someplace. So I use it as a research tool, but I don't use it as a writing tool. I just use it to help me on my research. But when I get everything written, then I use it to kind of tweak things a little bit. So I find it to be to me, immense value. Some of the authors that I talk to shun it like it was the Black Plague. It's just no.
I have heard of that as well.
and there's no problem because it is your intellectual property. There's no doubt about it. And they say, well, it's stealing from other people's intellectual property, but you're giving it the storyline, you're giving it the characters, you're giving it the time frame, you're giving it a lot of information. I think in your particular book, if I remember reading, I think one of your characters has diabetes.
She does. I'm a type 1 diabetic myself, which is why I put that in there, because it was just something that I know, something that I live. However, I will say in the third book that just came out, I knew that the character was going to get sick, and I wanted her to get sick from something on the beach. So I spent a long time Googling what could have made her sick. And now that you're saying this, I could have saved myself a lot of time, because Google only tells you so much. And I thought that I found something. My sister's a nurse, and when she read back the story and what I had made the character sick with, my sister called me and she laughed and she said, that disease hasn't been around since like the 18th. There's no way that your character has that. Gotten sick from then. But maybe if I had used a tool like that, I would have found my answer a lot quicker.
Yeah, Google will give you answers, but you have to ask it a specific question. Like, in other words, I deal with age-related diseases in my research. And so if I say Parkinson's, what causes it? Well, it's going to give me something. But if I say vitamin K2 deficiency and Parkinson's, is there a relationship? It'll give me an answer, but it won't give me that answer to start with. And so I have to I have a lot of things that I ask about it. Okay, well, there's no relation. Okay, but I have to figure out what it is up front to ask, because it just doesn't give me a core dump of everything that's in there. But I think with regard to what we do, as you're writing, I guess, what do you call it?
Twisted love stories is what I call them.
Love stories. I knew there was something after Twisted. I couldn't think of what it was. You're in a different world, because that's everyday stuff with the complexities and the drama and the distractions and everything else that you've probably lived every one of them at one point in time, or at least your sister or someone else has, and you just adopt and write about it and move on. And what if this had happened instead of that?
Right. I try and write what I know. But it's hard because sometimes our characters fall into things that we're not familiar with. And then trying to do, the research. My second book, Chasing Hearts, is about two lawyers, and it's all about a legal case. And I really had to make sure that I was representing that the right way. So if a lawyer read it, they wouldn't say like, that couldn't happen, or that's not realistic. So I wanted to be fiction, but I also wanted to be realistic fiction, where someone could say, of course, some crazy things happen, but this could really happen in real life, and it's not like fantasy. And if I didn't live with type 1 diabetes myself, that is something that I would have had to research extensively, because I know there's so much that goes into it.
We're going to go to a commercial break here literally in just a few seconds. When we come back, I'd like to talk to you about how do you market your books? When did you start marketing? So why don't you give some thought to the first book and when you started marketing it, and then we'll kind of continue on down that road, what social medias you use, etc. So with that, let's go ahead and go to commercial break, and we'll be right back.
What if one simple skill could change the way you connect with the world? What if listening could open doors to deeper relationships, stronger businesses, and a better you? Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, brings you USA Global TV and Radio, a space where voices are heard, ideas are shared, and global communities thrive. Through the elevated listeners' courses and books, you'll master the power of listening, set boundaries with confidence, and transform conversations into opportunities. Join us. Listen, learn, elevate. Whether you're a leader, a coach, a business owner, or someone seeking stronger connections, your journey starts today. Subscribe, learn, and transform today.
Howdy, y'all. Red Laughlin, Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Our guest today, our guest author is Leigh Jack. She has 3 books out in a series, a Heart series. How much further is the Heart series going to go? We got another 20 books to go, or what?
No, it is finished, and we are moving on to another universe with my next book. However, I do like when the characters, kind of like pop into other books. So anyone who has read my previous 3 books, you might see some pop-ins as my books continue, just because I think it's fun.
Okay, marketing. When you wrote your first book and you had the pleasure of editing it and figuring out these are the other things that go on, one of the things that we as authors really don't think much about is marketing the book. And so we get the book done, we're ready to go. Now we tell the world. What was your story like?
Yes. So, when I said that editing was my second least favorite part, that's because marketing is actually my least favorite part of writing books. I just want to sit at my computer and write, but I realized that you're not going to get readers unless you market yourself and you put yourself out there. And that was really tricky for me at first because I was never big on social media. I have accounts, but I never really, like on my personal accounts, post anything. So it was all a very big learning curve for me trying to figure it out. So my first book came out in November. I believe it was like October that I started playing around on Instagram at first. I made an account just to see what would happen. And from there, I went on to TikTok and I made an account there as well. And do you know what? I say that it's my least favorite part. However, I have met some of the absolute best readers from there. And there are people that I would have never had the chance of connect with, never would have known. I found readers that now faithfully read every single one of my books through those online communities, which is awesome and amazing. However, I know that marketing and visual design is definitely not my strength. So my friend Kiki, she actually has been helping me. She has become like my manager because she does a lot of my content design, and that has taken a huge weight off my shoulders because that is definitely her strength. She is brilliant at it. We only met each other as she started reading my books and she started helping out authors, but she is just awesome. And now I don't know what I would do without her. So again, just like every other part in the writing, I feel like marketing takes a village, and it's something that you have to keep plugging away with because some days my posts reach more and I feel like very excited, when people are commenting and liking, and then other days it seems that my posts don't go anywhere. And it's very easy to A, get discouraged, B, to feel that like imposter syndrome when you see other authors and you feel like they are, taking off more than you. They have a bigger fan base, whatever it is. But first and foremost, try and keep in mind that I write for myself. I really enjoy my stories, and the right readers are out there who will also connect with my stories. So I always try and keep that in mind, keep posting almost daily. Because if you know, disappear and you don't post for a while, other people are going to be posting. I feel like you have to stay relevant. You have to stay out there and keep coming out with ideas. So social media is huge for marketing, which I did not realize when I started writing.
I usually do a little bit of research on everyone. Sometimes I come up with a name, say Jack Smith, and there's 50 authors with the name Jack Smith. And if somebody is very active in their social media, I can go on. Okay, well, if there's only 5 here on this Facebook page, this one kind of looks like the person. And it's interesting that as you're more active, that makes it easier to identify you and figure out who you are. And of course, with your name, Leigh Jack, I think there's a Jack Lee that's also an author.
There is.
And so that's not the same one, I don't think. And so I started to, okay, no, it's not the same one. And so it's interesting as you're trying to find who's who, where they're at, try to get some background information. Okay, what do they have that I can bring up here and we can talk about on the show? And so those are things that I look at to try to make the show more interesting. I've had some really interesting people that, in fact, one of them, I said, "What do you do for fun?" I said, "Lee, what do you do for fun?" Well, this guy said, "Argentinian ballroom dancing." And I said, "Oh, okay."
That's something I know nothing about, so he could teach me. There we go. Interesting.
And 2 weeks later, I had a guy on who opened an Argentinian ballroom dancing studio in Houston, Texas.
What are the chances?
Yeah, what are the chances of that? But so, what do you do for fun, Lee?
Well, I don't have interesting hobbies like that, unfortunately. For fun, honestly, I'm mostly with my kids. The beach is my happy place. So right now in the summer, I love being at the beach. I love being at the pool. We love being outside. I'm really big into shopping, which is probably not the best hobby. And then of course, reading, that's where my love of writing came from. Is I'm first and foremost a reader. So my number one hobby when I want to relax at night is sitting down with a good book and reading.
Do you read contemporary romance or do you read something else?
That's a great question. I have always been a romance reader. That has always been my number one genre. So when I set out to, because that is something. And as I was writing Shared Hearts, my first book, that's when my friends at school said, "Hey, we're going to start a book club, and our book is going to be a thriller book." And I said, "I don't do thrillers. I don't want to go to bed and be scared," because frequently when I'm reading, it's late at night when my kids are asleep. And they said, no, I promise you're going to love it. Try it with us. So that's when I read my first thriller book just a couple of years ago. And I fell in love with the plot twist and trying to guess, where that character's coming from, who's after who, why are they doing that, history side of it all. So that is where my writing came from, is my love of romance, which has always been my favorite genre, mixed with the thriller and the exciting side of it. And I kind of wanted to marry those two and make a mystery romance or romantic suspense, whatever you want to call it.
Twisted mystery.
Twisted mystery. That's it. The twisty love stories, because they still have the happily ever after. There's still those sweet love stories. However, there's the twists and turns on the way.
Yeah. And sometimes the twists and turns happen so fast that I distinctly remember two books that the main character died instantly. And it just, I couldn't do anything. My brain just stopped. I had to go back and read it 3 times. And they had me so enraptured with that particular plot, that person, everything was going on. Where's this book going to go now? That person's gone. And it's interesting that sometimes a book has a twist, you don't even see it coming. And not that I'm asking you to kill your characters off, but it's just one of those. Yeah, it's just one of those twists that sometimes you get a disease on the beach that hasn't been here for 100 years. You just never know where it's going to go.
That's right. And, I think that's one of the hardest parts about writing those twisty stories, the thrillers, because I want it to be where the readers are like shocked and they didn't see it coming. But I also don't want it to be so out of left field where readers are like, that makes no sense. Like, who's that person? Where did they come from? So it's like a fine line that you have to walk where you want the plot twist to really surprise them, but you don't want them to be so unbelievable that it's just you're throwing random things together. But that's what I try and do is get that delicate balance along with of course, the contemporary romance.
Okay, so your series is done with 3 books on the Heart series. Your next series, I'm assuming, is going to be at least 3 books.
So my next book that I am working on right now is a Christmas book. The beach book came kind of because I just love reading on the beach, and I was working on this Christmas book back like last winter, I would say, and I was dreaming of the beach because that is my happy place. That's where I always want to be. So the Christmas book was pushed aside for a little bit. I had to write this beach book. It's just something that the idea came to me. I had to get it out. And now we are back to the Christmas book because as fall is approaching, I am getting super excited for that time of year. And after that, I really am not sure where I am going to go. It's really fun dreaming up characters. I think that's always the first thing that kind of comes to my mind is I get these characters in my head and I think, okay, what situations are they going to find themselves in? And the rest just comes from there. So I wish I had a bigger plan, but it's going to be a surprise even to myself after Christmas comes about.
Is it Christmas on the beach?
I wish. Now that would be my dream come true, but we are going. So a lot of people have compared my books to like Hallmark movies, and Christmas Hallmark movies are my favorite. I watch a million of them every Christmas. So this is going to be almost like a typical Hallmark movie with, of course, that mystery twists and turns thrown in.
Do you have a favorite beach?
Yes, it's a very tiny park model, but it's in Avalon, New Jersey. So Avalon is my happy place. That's my favorite beach. If you're ever looking for me in the summer, you can probably find me there somewhere.
The owner of the USA Global TV and Radio Network lives in Avalon.
Yes, and I think that is how we first connected. Avalon had it was back in maybe May or June. It was like a little book fair on the street of Avalon, talking to her, and I've this ever since May, I want to say.
Now, we're getting ready to conclude the show here fairly shortly. How do people reach you? How do they get your books? Do you have anything coming up? Any signings, anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me first and foremost on my socials. On Instagram, it is linked below, and TikTok, they are where I am the most active. You can also reach me by email because I do love to sell signed copies of my books and get them. My website has all of my contact information as well. Also on my website is a list of all of the independent bookstores that carry my books because I am so grateful store that has taken a chance. Has if anyone ever wants to support any of them, I'm so grateful. I also have a TikTok shop, pen and sell way. But all of my books are on Kindle Unlimited. They are also on Kindle for all the e-readers out there. They come in paperback. Both Shared Hearts and were recently into audiobooks, which I am narrators. They did such an awesome job. So they are on Audible, Apple Books, wherever you listen to your audiobooks. And the next chapter, I already hired the narrator for that book as well. So it is coming soon, probably in late fall sometimes. But if you are looking for me or you have any questions, my messages on TikTok and Instagram are always open, and I love connecting with readers. So please say hi and send me a message.
Well, I certainly look forward to our next conversation. You're going to have at least 1 or 2 more books out by then. And for our audio audience, Leigh Jack. It's LeighJack.com. Leigh Jack. LeighJack. LeighJack.com. Leigh, thank you so very much for your time today, and I really appreciate you being on our show. And again, I truly look forward to our next conversation. So, take care.
I had the best time talking. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the beach this summer and just have a wonderful Christmas. Take care. Bye now. Red O'Loughlin here. We're concluding today's show, the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. I would normally have another show immediately following here on the hour called The Wise Ones. We're having some technical difficulties with that, so we're not even going to worry about it today. We're just going to go right on down the road. And as such, my 1 o'clock show called Talking Heads is going to be in placement of the Wise Ones. So in about 15, 20 minutes, you'll be able to catch me here live on Talking Heads. In 2016, my wife and I walked the Camino de Santiago. It's a 500-mile walk across Spain. We did it in 30 days. And so I have a little bit of a slideshow today to show some of the terrain that we walked over, some of the places we visited. And I'm writing a book on it called The Road More Traveled, as opposed to The Road Less Traveled, because at least 300,000 people do this every year. So if you get a chance, please join me on Talking Heads. If not, on YouTube, on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, the archives and all future live shows are found there. So take care, y'all. Catch y'all next week. Bye now.
In a world that moves fast, there's strength in the woman who moves with grace. Introducing Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Each piece is intentionally designed for the woman who knows her worth, crafted from luxurious Italian eco-fabrics that feel as good as they look. With elegant coverage, effortless support, and timeless style, our swimwear celebrates both your body and your essence. Founded by fashion expert Carrie Sykes, Bay London is made for women who want to feel sexy, stylish, and seen. From poolside to beachside, sunrise to sunset, Bay London outfits you for every moment that matters. Because beauty isn't about age, it's how you wear your confidence. Bay London, confidence, elegance, effortless luxury. Visit baylondon.com. Act now for your exclusive friends and family discount of $35. Scan the QR code. Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Proud sponsor of USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.